The Tiger Cats are celebrating the 1999 Grey Cup Championship team at the home opener on Father's Day, Sunday, June 16th. Take Dad to celebrate the Grey Cup champs. Go to ticats.ca/tickets or call 905-547-CATS.
From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today.
Welcome to today's episode of Ticats Today. I am Rob Hitchcock. As announced today, the Ticats home opener against the Saskatchewan Roughriders is this Sunday. It's going to be a great day. Not only is it a big deal for the home opener, but it's also Father's Day. And what better way to bring your father, your uncle, your grandfather, brothers to that game and celebrate a big win. Not only is it the home opener, but it's also the club's 25th anniversary of the 1999 Grey Cup Championship team. I've got a lot of guys coming in from the States. There's a lot of hometown guys. I think there's about 25 of them that are coming in for this. It was such a great team that we played on. I'm super excited to be there. I'm even more amped up to see the guys that I haven't seen for a lot of years. And everyone's going to be gathering at the Tim Hortons Field. I'm going to share more details on that event later on in the show. But before that, I'd love to reconnect with one of my good friends, one of the best linebackers that have ever played the game. I was honored to share the field with him for a couple of years. And he is Calvin Tiggle. And welcome to the show, Calvin. Appreciate you taking the time, pal.
No problem. Anything for you, big hit Rob Hitchcock. When I heard your name was attached to this, I was like, I can never say no to Rob because he always had my back.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? We'll get into that, our playing days and everything. But first of all, what are you up to these days? Like, I know we talked about probably 6 months ago or so. We saw each other at the Grey Cup. But what have you been up to since then?
Oh man, this is really a busy time for me. I work with Prince George's Parks and Rec, which we service the communities, and now we in the process of hiring a lot of summer staff. We just had a training last night for our camps and playgrounds throughout the summer, and so it's a beautiful agency. We service not only, the kids, but we also service seniors and just all across the board. And just to have an impact in people's lives is always a blessing. And to see, especially watch the youth come up and then they go off, whether it's college or anything from, plumbing, electricity, just and going and venture out in their lives, and they circle back and just share with you little things like what you just said had a big impact in my life, which you didn't take for granted, but you didn't, you're just doing your job. And when you realize and recognize them saying what I said or what I did for them or whatever, it resonated throughout their lives and still have a big impact. It's a warm felt feeling. So that's what I've been up to these days, just trying to make a difference.
Well, Cal's, I mean, for those of you just tuning in, we are talking with Calvin Tiggle, and just what you said there, you giving back to the community and to the city, and you did that when you were here in Hamilton as well. But before we get into that, a little bit about yourself. You're born in Maryland. You went to Georgia Tech, went to high school in Maryland, then you went to Georgia Tech, and you won a national championship in 1990. Like that. That's pretty cool. And then playing 24 games for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I knew that when you first came up into Toronto. I heard this crazy linebackers coming up to the CFL, and you played 4 years with Toronto, and then you came up to Hamilton in 1996. I think back of that now when I looked at when I was looking at some stats, and you left in 96 to come to us, and you left a pretty good Toronto team with Doug Flutie, who won the Cup in 96, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So there's no hard feelings there. You came up to Hamilton, you set, you set a standard for the way the game of football should be played. For those of you who are listening to this, or for those of you for the first time listening to this and don't know the names, I can honestly say, Calvin, that when you came into Hamilton, you set the standard. You reminded me of some old linebackers that we had, Ben Zambiazzi, who played the game really hard and fast. And there's not too many linebackers that you can say that in the same sentence to in Hamilton. There's a lot of great ones, but you guys are outstanding. We look at Chris Schilling, shocker. You look at Lamar McGriggs. You look at these guys on a team. We'll talk about those guys in a little bit, but you played 4 seasons in Toronto. You came up here. You set the standard as a linebacker, and it was a real privilege, to play with you and meet you. Because, man, when we were playing against you in '95 and '96 for those 2 years, or in '95 when I played against you, it was you were a beast, man, and it was one of those special teams. Thank God you didn't play too much special teams, because when I was running down the field, I didn't want to hit you. But it was what was your feeling, after playing in Toronto and then coming up here in '96? What was your feeling on the city? The fans. The fan base is great up here. What was your first impressions coming up here, and talk a little bit about that?
Well, me making the transition from Toronto to Hamilton, it was at first I didn't know what to think, because Hamilton reminded me of Pittsburgh, a steel town, and that stir, and also it just that roughness, that gritty, that grind that I felt throughout the city. But one thing I would say, when I was, from coming from Toronto to Hamilton, yes, Toronto, beautiful, big city and stuff, but even, it still had their closeness, but it's like the fan base, yeah, you had good fans, don't get me wrong, but it's not, to me, when I came to Hamilton, you felt that fan base as like together, like a family. Like I can't really describe it. It's like you was closer to for me, I can't speak on everybody, but this is what I felt, that it would seem like when I leave the practice or a game, whatever, I was going to the house. They inviting me into their home. And I know I shared this before. That's why when I arrived in Hamilton and played throughout that first year, it just seemed Hamilton embraced me into their family. I went into more houses to meet mothers, brothers, and uncles, and that I ever witnessed. No, when I was playing with Georgia Tech, Tampa, Toronto, I never experienced that in my life, and Hamilton gave me that. And that's what I meant by, Hamilton embraced me into their home.
Yeah. Well said. Me being from Hamilton, I'm used to that steel town, blue collar, being raised about 10 minutes from the city, or from the stadium. Sorry. It was a lot of fun playing in my hometown. And again, to play with you, we can fast forward to 1999. And, the whole reason that we're talking today is, the reunion of the 99 team coming this Sunday, to play the home opener against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I'm looking forward to see everybody. But going back to that team, Teagues, is you made a living of hitting the holes in the A and the B gaps, and a couple guys. When I look at that team, you had Mike Philbrick, you had Mike Campbell, you had Jeff Cummins, you had Obi Spanik, and then on the outside of you, you're looking at, I'm looking at everybody, because everyone's in front of me, and you just had those 4 guys. And when I talked about Tim Terry and Joe Montford, that front line, that front 7 that we had with Lamar and Shocker, to me, I don't think there is a better defense ever on looking at that. And then not only the front 7, and I'll get your thoughts on it. I looked on the left side of me at corner, and we had Steinhauer and Gerald Vaughn on the one side. Like, can you imagine being a safety and looking at the one side and looking over to those guys and saying, hey, I'm not going to worry about the short side of the short side of the field today because I'm just going to go on the wide side and just make sure I make some plays over there. So I made a living on making some great picks and some great hits on guys because I didn't have to worry about the left side of the field, right? And Frank West and those type guys, that defense that we had was something else. Share your thoughts on that.
Oh man, wow, you're right. Amazing, everyone on that defense. First of all, amazing athletes, everyone. Secondly, we were so successful because, to me, what I felt as had to call plays, and we believed in one another and we communicated, and that was brought us together because without that communication piece, where someone make a hit or sacrifice themselves for the other person, was able for all of us to make plays. That's why it wasn't nobody a dominant person on that defense. That whole defense was dominant. And then what got us to that point, to that mess, is great coaches. The great coaches that we had also believed in us, and we learned so much from them that when we went out on the field, they put us in a position to be successful. And that was so easy for us to go out there and have fun and enjoy each other. That whole piece to me, I felt is why we were just so dominant out there.
I agree, and I was just gonna go on that thought of our coaches, and I'll never forget the two coaches that were the biggest impact, I think, on us as players who are not here anymore, and Ron Lancaster and Don Southern, God rest them. Coach Southern gave me my opportunity in '95, and I was so grateful for that. And for those two guys, and just as you said, we played free. I'll never forget in some of the training camps that we were at, especially in '99, when we lost in '98, and Ronnie Lancaster had us in that room, in that beer room, and he played the '98 Grey Cup. Remember that? And he showed us that film and the bitter taste that we had in our mouth from, we knew, like, I talked to Danny Mack, I talked to Morielli, I talked to Grigger, Joe Montfort. I said, do you remember when we watched that, how pissed off we were? But at the same time, at training camp, it was all business. And you were a huge part of that and setting the tone from day one in training camp and said, we're not going to let this happen to us again. And we set the tone. We knew in training camp that we were going to go to the Grey Cup. And it's funny to say, well, it's a cliche. Everyone wants to get there. I'm telling you, when we talked as a group, and you're talking as a family, we were a family, close-knit group. And when you guys said that we were going to go to the Grey Cup in '99, again, and play, who cares who we played? We ended up playing the same team, which was great, and pounded them. But I look back on that training camp and those coaches that put us in positions, and Don Southern especially. Remember, he said to us, he used to say this all the time, I'm going to teach you proper technique and the way to do something, but if you have a different technique and it works, by all means, you can do it. But if it doesn't, then you're going to go back to what we do. So he gave us that leeway. You remember those conversations? That was a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. He allowed us to hold each other accountable. That was so great about him. Yes.
Yeah. And I look back on some of those scores, and I tell you, I know it's been 25 years. I looked up at some of those scores. Do you remember we were winning? We beat Edmonton 54-8 the 1 week, and then the week after we played Saskatchewan and beat them 63-17 back to back. We also had a 65-15 win. We had a 42-12 win and a 43-16 win. So I look at those, like 5 of those scores throughout that year. We pounded teams with our defense, and we scored a lot of points. Danny Mack threw 32 picks, which is the most interceptions in the season or something, but he also threw for like 40-something touchdowns, right? So I look at those scores and our defense and what we accomplished, and I forgot about those scores, actually. I remember beating Saskatchewan 63-17, but I also remember the one score. Montreal beat us 52-17, I think it was, and we had that little bitter taste in our mouths again. That holy cow, we just got beat up by this team, and Montreal finished first. We went down, and what are your thoughts on some of those games?
Well, wow, you brought back some memories that I didn't even remember mentioning it. Like, wow, I didn't even think about that. And speaking of what Montreal did, we probably needed that to prepare us for later, you know. So I look at that as a good thing. But I know we was good and dominant, but you made me really sit back and think about what we did and what we accomplished and how we accomplished those by those scores. We was, oh my goodness, wow! You put a smile on my face. I never even thought about that.
I didn't either, Teagues. I didn't either. And we're talking with Calvin Ticgle, middle linebacker for the Ticats, and the Argos, but we won't say the Argos. He was a true Ticat and always a Ticat. But we're just talking about some scores and how our defense was so dominant, and how not just a defense, because we've always said it. It took a team. It took a team to win those games. Special teams with Ozzie kicking field goals, and how we got there, Calvin. Going down, we finished 11-7 that season. So it wasn't by all means a 15-3 season like some of these dominant teams are doing these days. We lost some games, and we lost some games by some small amounts of points, and but when we lost, we took that to heart. It was different than just losing the game. When we lost the game, we were mad, and we made sure at practice we were going next level. And do you remember? Of course you do. But I think one of the greatest plays ever was in the Eastern Final in Montreal, and it was 3rd and 2. And I think we were on the 30-yard line or something of Montreal, and Ronnie Lancaster called a play that we worked in practice maybe a dozen times all year. Never thought in a million years that Danny Mac would drop back and throw to Joe Higgins for a 7-yard completion with 3 Montreal Alouettes draped on his back, and he threw to a linebacker, Joe Higgins, who played special teams, and caught this ball. And I'll never forget my face. I'll never forget looking over at you and Philbrick, and man, that was a fun time.
That was a great time. All of us was just jumping for joy, and oh my God, I still can't believe that play to this day. That was unbelievable play. Joe Higgins went and it looked, and if you were to look at that play, it was like Joe Higgins put all he had to make that play. It was a great pass by Danny Mac. Joe, his effort, it was like, I'm doing this for everything right now.
Yeah.
And that's how, oh my God, that was so, yeah.
And the receivers that we had with Flutie and Tony Akins and Grigger and Morielli and everybody, basically double teamed Flutie on the 3rd down. And of course, we can't forget Ron Williams, who's one of the best backs that we ever had in Ticat history. Yeah, and for him to jump up and I mean, he jumped to the moon for that ball.
Yes.
And as a linebacker to make a receiver catch like that, I know he's a phenomenal athlete, and it just, for me, it was just like, wow, I can't believe we just called that. And to this day, it was one of the most special, besides Ozzie kicking the field goal in 1998, the 54-yarder. Those are probably the most 2 special plays in my career that I remember the most. Some great guys coming in from out of town, and there's some special things going on for us. You're coming in on Saturday, correct?
Yes, well, I'm working on it. I'm coming in actually on Friday night.
Okay.
Yes.
No problem. You better give yourself some time, because last time you came to my induction 5 years ago in 2019, you were late. We should have you still owe chicken money, by the way. You still owe some money. You were late because you couldn't get over the border. Joe Montfort was waiting for you. Remember?
Right.
No more passport problems, pal. No more passport problems.
No more passport. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. For the fans that want to come out and celebrate the 1999 Grey Cup champion team, and you don't have tickets yet, go to ticats.ca/tickets. That's go to ticats.ca/tickets. Father's Day is going to be a lot of people there. Let's hope we sell this game out. Come see the 99 team. Come see guys like Calvin Tiggle, one of the greatest linebackers that ever played the game. For me, Teagues is, I can't, we talked during Grey Cup. We've talked, last year, you and Mike and I and a couple other guys. And every time I see you, even though some time goes by, like the first time, I think it's been probably 15 years, we didn't see anything. But as soon as we saw each other, I know what sport does and what football does as a family. But when I saw you for the first time, it was like we've never missed a beat.
Right.
And, that to me is camaraderie. That's what I miss. People ask me all the time, what do you miss about the game? I said, I miss the locker room. I miss the guys. Yeah, I miss game day. I miss all that stuff. But the guys in the locker room are really what paved the way for all of us in what we're doing today. And and you Calvin, I can't say enough how big of a personality you are and how soft spoken you are as a person. But you get you on the field and you're a beast, man. It was like, I always tell my wife, like, there's a switch that you have to switch on and off. Right. And when I left for my games, I switched that switch up to high, and going out to maim people and hit people hard and knock them out, and then come back and flip that switch off to your family. And those are two really difficult things to do as a player. Talk about that a little bit and how you got through that.
It was the switch for me, that it was walking into that locker room and seeing and just looking at all the teammates and the energy y'all gave off. And that energy give me a type of energy to make that switch to flip on that easy for me. And we hung out together. That team hung out together. We all had our different cliques, but when it was time, all those cliques came together. And it was a feeling, like you mentioned, alluded to the camaraderie. It was one of the best that I ever experienced, playing all the years and different teams that I played for, that personify the meaning of a true family team, true sports. And that, with what y'all gave me, is helping me out till this day of having an impact in people's lives. I learned so much, Rob. I learned so much from each and one of you. We all have different personalities, and to witness that all personalities come together for one common goal was magnificent for me. And it's helping me to this day of when we putting programs together for the community and dealing with different personalities, different backgrounds, all different platforms of a human being, and making that work. And we doing that. And I thank the Hamilton Tiger Cats, from the coaches on down, of putting me in a place to be able to be successful to do that. Yes. And it's a beautiful thing.
Well said, Tiggs. And this weekend is going to be a lot of fun. I'm so looking forward to see you again and see a lot of the players that we haven't seen for a long time. There's going to be so much going on game day as well. I know that there's some stuff planned for us on the Saturday night, but there's going to be autograph sessions for the fans to come and see all of us on the South Plaza before the game. Of course, we're going to be the alumni of distinction before the kickoff. So our whoever's there, I think 25 guys or so, hopefully there's going to be some more. Our whole 99 Grey Cup team will be on the field as the alumni of distinction before the kickoff. They're going to recognize us. I'm tired of it's been 25 years, if you can believe it, Teeks. 25 years. Where did the time go? But I'm tired of, I just want this this new Ticats. They need to win a Grey Cup. Not need. It's, people always ask me, and probably the same with you, maybe not as much because you're down in the U.S., but in Hamilton, what's going on with the Cats? And, they've been there 4 or 5 times in the last, 10 years or so. They're good. They're a phenomenal team. They're well coached. They're going to get there, but it's been 25 years, and we can say, you and I and all those guys on 99 can say that we were the last guys to win this, and it's time for a new era because I want to see a new ring.
Right, absolutely.
I want to see a new ring.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be so much more going on. Not only us being the alumni distinction before the game. There's for fans that are going to come out to that game at Tim Hortons Field on Sunday. There's going to be Cody Robinson is performing live at the new Stripley before the game and during the game and at halftime. So there's going to be so many festivities going on the field. We're going to probably be pulled. You're going to be pulled every other way with fans because I still see some 73 jerseys in the stands. I still see some 42. There's a bunch of 42s, and the difference, Tiggs. When the old school Ticat with the old emblem on it. Yes. Those jerseys have been around for 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But there's still some Tiggle jerseys out there, and I'm so looking forward to see you, pal. And my words are at a loss right now because I'm so excited to be talking to you and to see you guys again this Sunday. And I'm so looking forward to it.
Rob, and I appreciate the invite to come on here talking to you. You always been one of my top tiers because you're just a hard-hitting, give it 100% each play. I don't care if it's rain, sleet, or snow. You're giving it 100%. I appreciate playing against you, beside you. Not against you, but beside you. Well, when I was with Toronto, against you. But
I didn't see you much, but I did see you much, but that's good.
But I am looking forward to seeing everyone too as well. I'm excited, and I can't wait to get there.
And one last thing before we cut this out. You're known for your hitting. Okay, you were one of the hardest hitters in the league. And if you can believe it, and you should believe this because I came into the league as a hitter as well. But when I saw the way you attack ball carriers through the gaps and the way you maneuvered yourself, and again, to 240 pounds you were, and to maneuver yourself around the A gap and go around the guard and to trip the guy up or destroy him in the backfield. We called you the torpedo because your neck, you don't think you had a neck. You probably had a 22-inch neck, but you torpedoed yourself to guys. And man, I watched some of that film on you, and I started to say, okay, you know what? You can't just have the big hit all the time and stand guys up. So you got to be able to lower the boom as well and go. So I took a piece of your hitting and your style of football, and I incorporated it in my game. And if you honestly, if you weren't there, I don't think that I would have had, the career of the hard hitting safety that I was, because I watched you play the game, and the way you played the game is the way football should be played. And, I can't say enough about you. And I know people are probably listening to this and saying, well, wow, I respected you. I loved you. I love you still as a brother. And I'm so looking forward to see you.
Thank you, Rob, for that. And I love you as a brother forever, ever, man. I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too. I'm looking forward to see you Sunday and get rid of and to get with the team on the 99 Grey Cup team. We'll see you then, pal.
Okay, most absolutely. See you then. Be safe, and can't wait to get with everyone.
Thanks for joining me for today's episode of Ticats Today. We'll see you on Sunday at Tim Hortons Field. Take care.
This has been Ticats Today on the Ticats Audio Network. Catch it on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.